from 2011 at a poetry reading in Ramadi, the capital of Anbar city province where I'm from. The video ends with Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah. These were the last words of a suicide bomber just before he detonated his vest. I was there. I remember making eye contact with him and seeing a kind of fear that I'd never seen before. I jumped behind the wall, and that wall saved my life. I was lucky to survive. The person who was filming did not. My name is Ahmed al-Bashir, and this is my story and the story of modern Iraq. Humor is very important to us Iraqis, as you'll see. After surviving a suicide bombing, my cousin Mustafa cracked a joke at me. He told me it was a shame that I survived because how much he'd been looking forward to eating the meat served at my funeral. When we Iraqis die, we serve really good food at the funerals. Let's go back to 2002. I was finishing high school and obsessed with dressing like Kevin from the Backstreet Boys. It was about to be dark time for Iraq and for my fashion sense. I later enrolled in Baghdad University to become an accountant. As with most of my problems, and this is true for almost most men, you can blame my dad for that. He wanted me to study theology, but that wasn't really for me. I wanted to go to the art school. One night, one of his friends complained about business. It is so hard to find good accountant these days. He wasn't speaking like that. He wasn't from Texas. He was from Bar. The only thing that rivals God in my father's eyes is a business opportunity for the family. He was very excited for me, and I was not consulted. But accounting it was, even though I wanted to go to the art school. Less than a year into college, my heart was invaded by 6 girls at the same time. Every girl who says hi, I fall in love with her and I propose. I know 6 a lot, we only do 4, but 6. I wanted to break that law. So my heart was invaded by 6 girls at the same time, and Iraq was invaded by the United States of America. Rumor had it been that we were going to be a new US state, but there were already so many stars on the flag. How would it fit a new one? Months later, I'll never forget being in a taxi driven by an old man. I was excited about the American occupation. He just looked at me inside his Toyota Crown 79 and said, "Son," he's not from Texas, "Son, from now on, 8 p.m. will always be much better than 9 p.m. What did that even mean? Over time, things seems to be getting worse. In April 2005, I was kidnapped by one of the militias who had infiltrated the police. At random, militias would kidnap a bunch of people and hold them for a ransom. They kept me for so long because my dad was too cheap. Kill him then, I won't pay a penny. I can produce others like him. You know, I have 8 others, I don't care. They were upset with him and took it out on me. I told them my daddy issues are not my fault. I would give you the money. Maybe my dad would have paid my ransom if I became an accountant. Kids, listen to your parents. I was lucky I only got beaten and not truly tortured, and on the bright side, I lost almost 40 pounds. Strict diet. I gained it back again, actually. As I told you, humor is very important to us Iraqis. I try to make my jailers laugh so they can see me as a human, or even as their friend, so they don't take electric drill to my skin. After 38 days, I was released. And get this, the same guy who kidnapped me came to my shop later to say hi. So yes, I was punched for 38 days and told so many jokes that my captors came by later to say they miss me. So the words from the taxi driver before came back to me in the middle of the sectarian war in 2006. 8 p.m. will always be much better than 9 p.m. Was the feeling of hopelessness when you realize that the golden days of your country are behind you. And every single day is going to be worse than the one before. And there's nothing you can do about it. The invading coalition policies were a disaster to Iraq. It allocated government positions based on identity and not merit. It disbanded the entire Iraqi army, sending hundreds of thousands of armed men into poverty with no way of providing for their families. People with no government experience or people who hadn't been in Iraq for decades were put in charge. I could talk to you about a lot of tragedies from this time. A mortar falling on my house with my brother inside and us having to wipe off his remains from the walls in order to have something to bury. My father was truly tortured by Al-Qaeda and he died a year later of a kidney failure. After every incident, my cousin Mustafa, you remember him from his joke after I survived the suicide bombing, was there to bring me out of my depression with his unkillable sense of humor. Humor is very important to us Iraqis. I told Mustafa